Welcome on in, everyone, to kick off the weekend of Matchday 2 in the Premier League. Tottenham took on Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium. Tottenham were able to win 2-0. Nigel, felt like the Spurs weren't the favourites going into this game, were they? But they were able to go to the Etihad, win 2-0 and have a great solid performance. What a fantastic performance by Tottenham. You know, they're taking nothing away from it. This was a complete performance from start to finish. I know some people might say, Spurs have seemed to become Manchester City's bogey team, but I talk about reflection on the game today of what we saw. And Thomas Frank's gone in there. He talks about phases of play and phases of football matches. When you listen to him speak, how articulate he is about the game of football, I actually love listening to him because he's 100% correct. You're not going to dominate a football match for 90 minutes. There will be periods of time where your team have to suffer. And how he's got this Tottenham side playing right now is there's such a great deal more balance into their approach of the football match. There's times when they suffered, there's times when they did the high press, and there's times when they pressed and forced Manchester City into errors and mistakes. So there wasn't a tremendous amount of respect shown to Manchester City to say, you can dominate possession. Tottenham showed a great all-round performance, and I think Thomas Frank has to be very proud. I did an overreaction last week to say that for my prediction for Tottenham is Tottenham make top 4. On this performance today, without being carried away, I think that they're starting to show now, under Thomas Frank's regime now, that Tottenham are a very serious contender for a top 4 finish. If they can get more bodies into the box, more bodies into their squad, I think that Tottenham will be able to finish top 4. They've lost James Maddison, creative element in that number 10 role. I think that's an area where they should be looking at. Heung-min Son got sold. I think that someone else should come into that left midfield to really create a more competitive environment. And there's a player that's come to mind for me where you look around in football now, what players could come in there, what players could be beneficial. I'd say Ademola Lookman at Atalanta will be a good fit for this Tottenham side. You're talking about the current African Player of the Year, who single-handedly helped Atalanta win their first European trophy, got Premier League experience. I think he's matured as a player, played Champions League as well. For a squad that they need to compete in the Champions League and also in the Premier League, I think Lookman would be a good player to bring into this Tottenham side, who can also play in the number 10 role, play out left. And I think that that's a hidden gem that's out there that's still available on the market. But what a performance by Tottenham for me. You said pushing top 4, not the title contenders? Title contenders, I think it's a bit too much for me, in my opinion, there. But I think that realistically now, with what we're starting to see, with the work and the balance that Thomas Frank is bringing to this Tottenham side, a top 4 can definitely be a realistic goal that they could achieve this season. Even if they got Lookman? Even if they got Lookman, I will still say top 4. I think pushing for a Premier League title was a bit too far still out for Tottenham. They still need a lot more bodies in the box. And we're talking about squads. We're talking about quality. Like for like, when you make substitutions, when you're dominating games, that the quality level doesn't quite drop. I don't believe that Tottenham is still at that level yet when you talk about it. But to be competitive in the Premier League, top 4, great performance today, and I think they can do it.
For me, we're talking about a team that won the Europa League last season, right? That's not easy to do. Some of the biggest clubs in the world have not been able to do that, right? So they do that. So we know they're athletic team, strong team, can score goals, exciting team to watch. Thomas Frank's got in there and said, hey, look, when we're winning games, we're going to take the team back. Who would have thought it, right? Crazy, right? When you're winning a game, maybe, I don't know, just pull the team back 10, 15, 20 yards, playing a lower block. I think they did that against Man City. They looked comfortable in possession. They hit on the counter. Unlucky probably not to get 3 or 4 in this game. And they just made Man City look really average. And barring the last half of last season with Man City, when would you look at a Manchester City side or a Pep side and say, oh, at home, yeah, it's going to be a difficult game for them. They're going to be exposed at the back. They're going to lose 2-0, be clean-sheeted at home? Never. In his 9 years there, that was never the case. I mean, they dominated football for so long. Pep has been one of the greatest managers that we've seen, so take nothing away from him. But then the reality sets in of the game is constantly evolving, the game is constantly moving, and he can't figure out what's going on. He's constantly signing new players. Okay, 69 players in his tenure there, 1.9 billion spent, 1 Champions League title. Okay, a fair amount of Premier Leagues as well. So take nothing away from him. But at the same time, right now, he's looking at a situation, right, where he's losing games at home, where it doesn't look good at all, and he's not been able to figure it out. He's been re-signing players. He's spent a ton of money. He's still not being able to figure it out. And for me, Some of the recovery runs from the midfield look really slow. Are those guys not buying into the project? Are those guys not understanding what he wants? Some of the possession doesn't make sense when they play. And so for me, it looks like a Pep side. And a manager, by the way, Pep, who's coming out before the season saying, I need time off. And when I do take time off, it's going to be a long time. I'm going to go away from the game for a long time. I mean, that's the message going into before the start of the season. To me, being as a new player in that changing room, I'd say, not so sure about this. I want to know that we're all hands on deck here, all fighting for the same thing. So I got a lot of question marks about Pep, and I know I get a lot of heat every time you question Pep because he's part of the Holy Grail of managers, and he should be. But if you look at that match today, there's no way they should go into that match at home and lose 2-0 to a Tottenham side, like in that type of a way, in that performance.
And that's a great point that Grella makes as well, because when you look into this, going into this Premier League season, a lot of people have Manchester City as a dark horse to win the Premier League title, saying that they're the favourites. It's going to be Pep's coming again, second coming at Manchester City as a manager. But that performance, for me, they just didn't have no answers. They didn't have no answers. We're seeing the same situations and issues that they got. And reflecting on the game as well, they're fortunate to keep Trafford on the pitch, because he clearly should have been sent off for a handball. And on the opposite side of things as well, from a Tottenham perspective, you look at Romero and Van der Ven's performance, they withstood the storm that Manchester City showed in the last 15, 20 minutes, trying to batten down the hatches. And now we're seeing a different level of defending and responsibility from Romero and Van der Ven. But also, I always say, it's the part of management and coaching. That's what's happened for me. I think Thomas Frank and this new coaching team that have come into Tottenham now are starting to take these players to another level.
I also, you know, there's too many plays where you see the back four drop in and there's just nobody coming to help at all. And if Tottenham were more patient in those moments, they would have gotten more goals for sure. And it's not an elite team. An elite team doesn't look that way. And to make it quite simple, if you watch Tottenham today, they moved like that. Mm-hmm. All the lines moved like that. When you watch Man City today at home, it was like that. The back line's here, the midfield line's there, the forwards are there. It just looks so disjointed. And I think that things can get stale after 10 years of a manager in charge. That's why we don't see it often in world football. We don't see managers in charge for 10 years. And when a manager is verbally saying at the beginning of the season, I need some time, basically, I need some time away from the game, I think it's pretty clear that Pep does need some time away from the game, and it looks stale. The ideas look stale. The players look a little stale. And to me, that's an unacceptable performance at home this early on in the season.
What would you think if they went on to win the league this year?
I would feel pretty stupid right now after everything I just said. But it wouldn't be the first time that we are wrong. But I'm looking at the first couple of weeks. I'm looking at it, and I'm saying, especially this performance in particular, and I'm saying, that's not the Man City that I know that won the Champions League. That's not the Man City that dominated Real Madrid over two legs, albeit that some of those matches they lost. That's not the Pep that put fear into teams where they possessed the ball 70% of the time and had 25 shots on target, where Haaland, the monster in between the center backs, made you scared. I don't think that they scare anyone anymore. I think that teams look at them and say, we're going to hit, this team is easy to beat on the counter. I think that's what they see. We saw 5, 6, 7 easy counterattacks from Tottenham.
The reality of it is, as well, is Manchester City know that they're going to face very tough opponents throughout the entirety of this Premier League. You know, you talk about Tottenham, you got to put in the likes of a Newcastle, Aston Villa, then obviously the likes of Arsenal, Manchester United, Liverpool. They're going to face a lot of tough games, and it's just a reflection on this game there that we just don't see the same dominance, or we're not going to see the same dominance of Manchester City that we're used to under Pep Guardiola.
Grella, who do you think's finishing higher, Manchester City or Tottenham at the end of the season?
That's a really good question. After seeing what I saw today, I think Tottenham. I think Man City will have a problem. Will have difficulty sort of finding the balance within the team. And again, if the motivation is there, I don't know. At the moment, I say Tottenham.
I think for me, Manchester City. I'll give Manchester City the edge still because they've got the strength in depth squad-wise, which is what Tottenham's still lacking. And let's not forget, they've got Champions League football as well. But I still see Manchester City finishing higher than Tottenham. We'll
see when the season ends. It's only match day 2.
Well, what do you think?
I like Tottenham. I like the look of Tottenham. I think coming into this game, Maddison's out, Kulusevski's out. Lost some players, all the Eze drama surrounding them. For them to kind of block out that noise, go to the Etihad and win 2-0, I think it speaks volumes.
Impressive result.
And it's a great reflection on Thomas Frank. That's always about the manager.
Yeah, I like him. I think he's got something good going with Tottenham. We'll see throughout the Premier League season.